Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Leave it to Raritan Borough for fiscal conservatism. This is the smallest podium in the state of New Jersey. It all started right here, Anthony, 35 years ago. From the time that I declared for governor in January 2020, I sought to surround myself with a campaign team comprised of professionals at the highest caliber, people known throughout New Jersey for being amongst the very best in their respective fields. Most of them are here today. One such person is campaign counsel Mark Sheridan, who I trust implicitly and who, by the way, argued the state Supreme Court case against borrowing billions to balance our state budget that I sponsored. Following Election Day, as vote by mail and provisional ballots were counted, I would speak with Mark daily and ask him a single, very simple question. Can I win the election? And if I cannot, should there be a recount? Late yesterday was the first time, based on vote counts to date, that Mark Sheridan answered no, while also saying we would continue to closely monitor the vote counts. And so, I called Governor Murphy earlier today and congratulated him on his re-election and wished him well in serving the people of New Jersey. Why are we in Raritan Borough? 100 years ago, my grandparents immigrated to this country, settling right here in Raritan. They raised their children in a 4-family house not 300 yards from this very building. My parents, who had but one high school diploma between them, raised their 4 children in this great borough, starting out in my grandparents' 4-family home. My dad worked 38 years in the street department for Public Service Gas. He was a union pipe fitter. My mom worked midnights on the line for J&J. 2 blocks from here, my parents owned a restaurant, all the while never leaving their employ at Public Service or J&J. No 2 people ever worked harder, and every dime they made went to their 4 kids. Raritan is where Melinda and I started our family, in a 2-family house right across the street from my grandparents' house. New Jersey is my home, and it always will be. And for nearly 2 years, I traveled every corner of this state, engaging with New Jerseyans of every race, color, creed, and religion, listening and discussing their concerns, talking about the issues that matter, kitchen table issues, common sense solutions. It was an exhilarating experience that I enjoyed immensely. Being on the campaign trail only reaffirmed that the people of New Jersey are amongst the most decent and hardworking in the country. They are also the most frustrated. For the state they love, the state I love, is broken. Adding to the frustration is political leadership that is out of touch with what it is that really needs fixing here in New Jersey. There are those who seek to get things done by raising taxes. I prefer to see things happen by fixing our problems. And so, let me be clear. The people of this state do not want a handout. What they want is for us to fix the country's highest in the nation property taxes, the country's worst in the nation business climate, especially for small business, a bloated and inefficient state government that's been corrupted by special interests. Communities, people want them safe and secure by supporting our local and state police. And they want their public school curriculum to get back to basics and teaching critical life skills, providing vocational training, and never ever seeking to assume the role of parent. I was fully confident that, in speaking to these issues each and every day, with the people across the state who I'm proud to call as my fellow New Jerseyans, that I would win on Election Day. Of course, there were those who thought I couldn't win. There were those who told me I wouldn't win. Fact is, we almost did win. Why? Because every single time, misguided politicians take this state too far off track. The great people of this state push, pull, and prod it right back to where it belongs, right back to where it needs to be, the common sense center. I do not see the result of this election as a failure. On the contrary, I am proud of what our campaign accomplished, proud of how we helped reinvigorate the Republican Party and mobilize new people who've never been involved before. To that end, despite those who told me, Jack, don't talk about the legislative candidates, just run your own campaign. We leaned into down ballot races, and the results were the greatest election night for Republicans in 30 years. Republicans won 8 targeted legislative races. We flipped 6 assembly seats. We defeated 2 Democrat incumbents in the Senate and picked up numerous seats in what many consider to be blue counties. And so I'm also proud that there is now greater balance of power. And suddenly, I'm hearing Trenton politicians talk about lowering taxes, the kitchen table, common sense solutions, and paying much closer attention to what it is that's really bothering everyday New Jerseyans. To those who are disappointed that I'm conceding, to those whose faith in our election system is shaken, to those who are angry that I'm not asking for a recount today, let me say this. I've worked every day and night for 22 months to become New Jersey's governor. If you think I'd be standing here today conceding if I thought I won this election, you couldn't be more wrong. I hate to lose. Ask Mayor DeSico. But I'm also someone who believes strongly in our republic and our democratic processes. Enough votes have been counted. There does not appear to be a path to victory or the basis for a recount, nor do we know of any systemic or widespread fraud. So no, I see no proof that this election was stolen. As my campaign said in a press release earlier this week, the new law the governor rushed to enact led to this disjointed and excruciating slow vote counting process. Sadly, in our current climate, that slow count and constantly changing online numbers gives rise to doubt in the system and unfounded conspiracy theories. That isn't healthy. The fact that we are 10 days past election and votes are still being counted is a problem for every close election to come. Voters do deserve better. I propose that the legislature, in partnership with the County Clerks Association and the Election Board Officials Association, standardize election reporting. We desperately need uniformity and strict reporting guidelines. Doing so would bring order to, and most importantly, renew faith in our system. Keeping all that in mind, I say this to my supporters. Let us continue to fight the good fight. Let us harness our frustrations and focus our momentum on what it is that made this campaign so very successful. Positive energy, positive messaging, positive common sense solutions. Let us continue to keenly listen, and in so doing, hear and elevate the concerns of people throughout the state. Because on this election night, we sent a powerful message to Trenton. And although it was never my intention, we sent a very powerful message to the nation. Our message is simple. We're tired of hyperpartisanship, tired of divisiveness, tired of tone deafness, tired of dismissing citizens' real concerns. Here in New Jersey, for a lot of individuals and families, taxes are an issue. Standing in line at motor vehicles is an issue. Not getting someone on the phone at unemployment or any other state department is an issue. Properly teaching our children in school is an issue. Supporting our local and state police is an issue. Excess government spending is an issue. The undue influence of special interests is an issue. Our hard work and success on Election Day lifted new voices that will be going to Trenton and carrying that message. New voices that will work to fix New Jersey. A few thank yous. Thank you to the New Jersey Republican Party for giving me the honor of being their gubernatorial nominee. Thank you to my campaign team for their outstanding effort. Thank you to our 4 children who inspire us every day. They do inspire us, right? Thank you to my wife, Melinda, whose sacrifices made my candidacy possible. Thank you to Senator Diane Allen for being what I believe to be the best candidate for lieutenant governor ever in the state of New Jersey. Most importantly, thank you to the people of New Jersey for welcoming me into their homes, their neighborhoods, their communities, and yes, their favorite diners. I've been to every one. Our work is not done. Let us fix New Jersey together. Thank you all so very, very much. Now, my daughter told me she wasn't going to cry, but I look at her and she's crying. Happy to take a few questions, guys. Yeah. I'm sorry? So my wife and I are going out to dinner tonight, and we're going to chop some wood this weekend. You know, 4 years ago, after Phil Murphy was sworn in, I was on TV, and the journalist asked me, you know, Jack, what's your future plans? And I said, I'm going to run for governor. And he said, what? I said, I'm going to run for governor. He said, oh. And when I got home, the premier Republican political consultant in the state, whose initials are Chris Russell, called me and said, what are you doing? That's not the way you do it. You set up an exploratory committee. And I said, Chris, we've known each other for 20 years. I'm not real good at campaign choreography. And the people in New Jersey don't like BS. So why not just tell people what you're going to do? So why don't you ask me again?
Zach, will you run for governor in 4 years?
That is exactly my plan. I'll be running for governor in 4 years. I want the governor to be successful in addressing the issues that are most important to New Jerseyans. But I just have this feeling that there's going to be a lot of fixing to do come 4 years from now.
Yes.
Jack, this race came down to mail-in ballots. That's where a lot of frustrations, a lot of conspiracy theories came from. On election night, you led in Bergen County with 52% of the vote, with 100% of the precincts reporting. There's a lot of talk online about why that was the case. We now know it was the mail-in ballots, and that's what happened. And a lot of conservatives now feel that these swings that we see with mail-in ballots, they only seem to go one way. Do Republicans, and will you in your next campaign, put a greater emphasis on getting folks who are conservatives to vote by mail? Is that something that you're thinking about?
Wherever this campaign did not perform well, it will seek to do much better. And certainly as a party, the Republican Party needs to do better with regard to VBMs. They're here to stay. And I do think we, the Republican Party, need to do a better job in getting more Republicans to vote by mail, for sure. For sure. Press, please. Only press.
Could you talk a little bit about your conversation with the governor this morning? You said you gave him a call. How did that go?
That went extremely well. Listen, we both like to compete. We've been in each other's company on a number of occasions. It's not the first time we've spoken. The conversation has always gone well. And I sincerely offered my congratulations and well wishes. And he very graciously accepted. And, you know, we then blessed each other's family. I mean, he even blessed the family dog in Ciattarelli. So, you know, just the press. Brent.
Hi. So there's no plans in 2 years on the Senate seat to be up, being the U.S. Senate, Bob Anderson. You don't see something like that first?
I have no interest in going to Washington, Brent. New Jersey is my home, and I want to fix New Jersey. David, we'll only do the press, David. Only the press, David. Charlie?
Do you agree with former Governor Chris Christie's attempts to distance himself from Donald Trump and put him in the rearview mirror, given your history of dealing with this question?
Charlie, I got to tell you, buddy. You got a Joe DiMaggio streak going. There isn't a single time you ask me a question that Donald Trump's not part of the question. So, God bless you for your consistency. Charlie, every candidate has a different way of dealing with whatever he or she thinks the issue is. You'll have to ask Chris Christie. I'm worried about New Jersey.
Right, but in terms of your ability to run in 4 years, do you think that's the right strategy? Do you hope that Donald Trump will be in the rearview mirror when you run again?
Listen, I'm going to deploy the strategy that I deployed this year. We'll just do it, you know, more aggressively with regard to things like VBMs and in counties we didn't perform well. I think that every time the opposition this year wanted to talk about Donald Trump, that was an attempt to distract people from a failed record. I will continue to just go out and talk about the solutions, things that concern New Jerseyans every single day. And I believe those things are property taxes, this being the worst place in the country to do business, especially for small business, a bloated, inefficient state government that's been corrupted by special interests, the need to support our local and state police, and getting our public school curriculum back on track. Those are kitchen table issues. And I think that this campaign was really successful because all of a sudden, as you heard in my remarks, I hear politicians in Trenton talking about the kitchen table, common sense solutions. My goodness, I'm not even your governor. I saved you taxes. The governor even promised. The governor even promised in one of the debates after 5 times being asked he wouldn't raise taxes. So
Obviously not as a candidate.
you're a journalist.
Yeah,
you
with,
bet.
101.5.
Very good, sir. Your name is?
Mike Simons.
Hey, Mike.
So, not as a candidate, obviously, but in the 2023 legislative elections, do you intend to play an active role?
I intend to play an active role here, and Republicans talking about what it is that we need to fix New Jersey. And so I'm all in. I'm a member of the Republican Party. I'm someone that competes, but I'm someone the day after the election that looks to work with whoever's been elected to fix our state. So, but yeah, those elections are less than 2 years away. And it's very important. We'll know come March 1st, I believe, what the new map will look like. So we'll see what that all means to the 40 legislative districts. But yes, I intend on playing a role. Yes, sir. Outlet?
Newsfeld. I have a question for Newsfeld. How much of your success would you say would be driven by social issues like critical race theory and like the Randolph school council?
How much of my success was or will be?
Was driven by those issues?
Listen, I think our success was driven by the fact that we were talking to the issues of the day in very, very simple terms with common sense solutions. You know, I'm not going to apologize for CPAs being boring. So, how are you?
So anything going forward, anything that you will see your next campaign, strategy?
Well, listen, 4 years is 4 years away. There may be issues 4 years from now that aren't issues of today. There's some things that are not going to go away. Listen, I don't have a crystal ball, but I wrote an op-ed that appeared in the Star Ledger 4 years ago when Phil Murphy that was sworn in, and I said, mark my words, 4 years from today, we will still have a property tax crisis, we'll still be the worst place in the country to do business, and we'll still have a bloated, inefficient state government. And here we stand today. And I'm fearful. I hope it is not the case. I hope that the governor has taken something away from this election, particularly because of its closeness. But I'm fearful that when I announce for governor, whenever, we'll be talking about these very same issues, and they'll need fixing come 4 years from now.
If Steve Sweeney runs for governor, how would you feel about that matchup?
You know, I don't worry about who my competition is, quite frankly. As Melinda will tell you, I have this terrible habit that when I want to do something, I just put my head down and do it. What I'm proud of, and listen, am I disappointed in the outcome of the election? You bet I am. But I'm not disappointed in the effort. I could not have asked for a better campaign team who are here today, the job that they did. My job was to make sure that we were in a position to win. We were. My job was to make sure that this was a highly competitive race. It was. My job was to make sure that we were talking about the issues that mattered to New Jerseyans. We did. My job was to protect Republicans down ballot. We did better than protect. We did something that hadn't been done in 30 years. Because at the end of the day, I think what matters to people are solutions. I really do believe people close the curtain behind them and vote for the people who they believe are going to solve their problems. And I learned that right here in this town when I sat on this dais for 6 years as a borough councilman, as a Republican, in a state where we were outnumbered 4-1, Mayor. You know what that taught me is people will close the curtain behind them and vote for those people they believe are going to solve their problems. And I think that Raritan is a phenomenal microcosm of what New Jersey is. Decent, hardworking people that are just looking for people to solve their problems. They don't mind the competition, but the day after the election, they want you to start solving problems. Yes, sir. Your outlet?
Thanks a lot, Neil. For a question for you, is this the future of the Republican Party holding out to concede and barely, if ever, expecting results when you do? Sorry.
I'm sorry, the question one more time?
Is this the future of the Republican Party holding out to concede and barely, accepting
Is
results.
it the future of the party to hold out and concede and barely ever accepting what is said?
I mean, last I checked, vote by mail ballots by law were allowed to be counted up until this past Monday. Provisional ballots are not allowed to be counted until all vote by mail ballots are tabulated. I think this team took a very, very serious, reasonable, and credible approach to the decision that I made today to concede, which is only 48 hours after the Senate President conceded in a district that represents 200,000 people when I was seeking to be the representative of 9 million people. So I think we did this right. Guys, thank you very much.
You know who was watching my feet? Jake Ciattarelli.
Okay, thank you.